Hola, en esta lección vamos a hablar de algunos verbos con cambio radical de E a Y en el tiempo presente. Whew, that's a mouthful in Spanish. Basically, we're going to be talking about stem-changing verbs in the present tense. If you have no idea what that is, I'll explain it in just a second. Before watching this video, you might watch the videos on querer and tener in the present tense, as well as all the videos on the regular verbs in the present tense. If you've watched the videos on querer and tener, you probably remember that querer and tener both change a little bit differently from the regular ER verbs in the present tense. Do you remember what they do that's weird? The endings are the same as regular ER verbs, but what's weird is that something happens in the middle of the verbs. Let's take a look at querer in its different forms. Can you remember which form goes where to tell who wants? You should have come up with yo quiero, I want, tú quieres, you want, él quiere, he wants, ella quiere, she wants, usted quiere, you want, formally, nosotros queremos, we want, nosotras queremos, we the females want, ellos quieren, they want, ellas quieren, they the females want, ustedes quieren, you all want. So the endings of these forms all look normal for ER verbs. O, es, e, hemos, en. But the E in the middle of querer changes to ye in some of the forms. If we were to outline the forms where this occurs, we'd get what looks like a shoe or a boot. That's why many Spanish teachers refer to verbs like this as shoe verbs or boot verbs, because the middle vowel changes to something else in the shoe or boot. There are three types of stem changers, shoe verbs, in the present tense. Watch the videos on O to UE stem changers or E to I stem changers in the present tense to see the other types of verbs. There are actually quite a few verbs that follow the same pattern as querer, with the E changing to IE in the present tense. Some of the more common ones are cerrar, comenzar, empezar, pensar, entender, perder, preferir, mentir. And if you remember nevar, to snow, from the weather videos, it also changes to IE in the he or she form, nieva, it snows. Notice that these are not all ER verbs like querer, so the endings will change according to the verb's endings. Let's try a few. How about pensar, to think? Yo pienso, I think. Tú piensas, you think. Él piensa, he thinks. Ella piensa, she thinks. Usted piensa, you think, formal. Nosotros pensamos, we think. Nosotras pensamos, we the females think. Ellos piensan, they think. Ellas piensan, they the females think. Ustedes piensan, you all think. Por ejemplo, pienso, luego existo. I think, therefore I am. Literally, I think, then I exist. Juan y Diego piensan en si hay vida en otros planetas. Juan and Diego think about if there is life on other planets. So if you notice again the shoe-like shape around the verb where the E changes to IE. And the endings are for regular AR verbs. Let's see an example of how one of the E to IE stem-changing IR verbs would work. How about preferir, to prefer? Yo prefiero, I prefer. Tú prefieres, you prefer. Él prefiere, he prefers. Ella prefiere, she prefers. Usted prefiere, you prefer, formal. Nosotros preferimos, we prefer. Nosotras preferimos, we the females prefer. Ellos prefieren, they prefer. Ellas prefieren, they the females prefer. Ustedes prefieren, you all prefer. Por ejemplo, Ana prefiere el básquetbol. Anna prefers basketball. ¿Prefieres el té o el jugo? Do you prefer tea or juice? Notice again where the changes occur in the shoe. Also, since preferir has more than one E and its stem changes, notice that the one closer to the end changes. We'll also see this in entender. The second E will change to IE. This has to do with where the stress falls on the word. Now how about you try some? Go ahead and change the verb into the correct form, remembering to put the IE in when needed. Then see if you can figure out what it would mean in English. Pause the video if you need more time and check below this video for additional conjugation help and word definitions. Cierras. You close. Víctor piensa. Victor thinks. Preferimos. We prefer. Empiezo. I start. Ustedes pierden. You all lose. Mientes. You lie. Pensamos. We think. Paco e Ignacio entienden. Paco and Ignacio understand. Notice that the Y for and changes to an E before I and HI to not lose the sound. Bien! Now translate the sentences into Spanish. Pause the video if you need more time, and check below this video for additional conjugation help as well as the word bank. When does the concert begin? ¿Cuándo comienza el concierto? O, ¿cuándo empieza el concierto? Who prefers horror movies? ¿Quién prefiere las películas de terror? Pepe always thinks about Marisol. Pepe siempre piensa en Marisol. Notice that pensar en is to think about. The students don't understand what the teacher is saying. Los estudiantes no entienden qué dice el profesor. Los estudiantes no entienden lo que dice el profesor. Los estudiantes no entienden qué está diciendo el profesor. O, los estudiantes no entienden lo que está diciendo el profesor. Que can be used for what in questions and statements, while lo que can only be used for what in statements. The band starts playing at 9 o'clock. La banda empieza a tocar a las 9. O, la banda comienza a tocar a las 9. To start is comenzar or empezar, but to start doing something is comenzar a plus our verb, or empezar a plus our infinitive verb. You could also use el grupo or el conjunto for the band. His brother lies all the time. Su hermano siempre miente. O, su hermano miente todo el tiempo. Or, since su could mean his, her, your, or their, you could also clarify by saying el hermano de él. You always lose your keys. Siempre pierdes tus llaves. Notice that it is Tus llaves because there's more than one key. Those girls never close the door. Esas muchachas jamás cierran la puerta. Esas muchachas nunca cierran la puerta. O, esas muchachas no cierran la puerta nunca. Notice in the last example, if I put nunca after the action, I have to put a no in front, making a double negative. Muy bien. Es todo para esta lección. I hope that you found it helpful and you understand E to IE stem changing verbs a little better. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments about this video, y nos vemos.